is this holding pattern, waiting for 9 a.m. There it is. Let me just close that. So hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. David and Marina and Monica are like, yay, I'm so happy to be here. Me too. Me too. Lovely to see you all. So before we jump into class, let's take a moment, close your eyes, and think about why you're here. Is it because it's the coolest thing to do on a day like this? Or is there a larger reason for being here? So just think about that in your heart, why you're spending these 2 precious hours of your life here, why it's important. And what can you do with the knowledge, the wisdom, the insight that you may find during these 2 hours? How can you use it as soon as you get up from where you're sitting? And how can you use it going forward in your life to help you reach the ultimate goal that you have chosen? Spending a few hours every week studying, doing ACI courses, homeworks, quizzes, finals. They mean nothing if you can't put it into your life and use it. We're being given an incredibly full toolbox. Instead of looking for a screwdriver or a hammer, we can look through our toolbox and decide, do we need tonglen today? Do we need to think about the 2 husbands in the kitchen today? Do we need to think about how Jampa watches people's eyes and be like him? Do we need to think about the logic of how we're thinking. These are just a few of the things that we have gathered in our toolbox up to now. It is overflowing with tools for you to just pull out the one that you need at any particular moment. And let's come back to our Zoom meeting. 3 long exhales. Open your eyes when you're ready. You just took refuge and generated bodhicitta. So we can say prayers and recite prayers. We can also think about it in our hearts so that those words really mean something. It's so easy to just recite something and not think about what it means, but to make it personal for you, for that moment. What does going for shelter mean? What does bodhicitta mean? What does it mean to become an enlightened being? And what can we offer to the enlightened beings? Cool? Yeah. Okay, are we ready to dive into class 2? Okie doke. Let's and Master Shantideva. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk a little more about joyful effort. And then what's the next perfection after joyful effort? David?
Meditation.
Meditation, yeah. So after we've finished joyful effort, when we've gotten excited about what we're doing, we take that into our meditation. And so we're going to cover meditation today. So it looks like everybody here is pretty filled with joyful effort on this Sunday. So let's delve into it a little bit more. So joyful effort, having fun, doing good, right? Doing good and having fun. The ultimate practice in joyful effort is what is called laksam namdak. Please say laksam namdak. Laksam namdak. Ultimate personal responsibility. This is the ultimate expression of joyful effort, is what we call exchanging self for others. And it will be the last step before you achieve bodhicitta. That moment where I've been told, I haven't experienced it myself, where your heart just opens and it's like there's this direct beam of love out to the entire universe, to every being, to every little tiny insect, to all the two-leggeds walking on different planets and different universes. And not only does the love go out, but you see each one, you meet them, and you know that you are there to serve them. It's like, hi, Mom. Yeah, I'm coming. I'm working on it as hard as I can, as quickly as I can, right? You see every being in the universe. Is time a fixed thing? No. So this all happens in a few moments. But because time is empty, you are able to see every being in the universe. So personal responsibility. It means that you are willing to do all of your good deeds, all of your virtuous activities, even if no one else will help you, right? You're going to do it. You're going to spend 2 hours on your Sunday and go to class, even if nobody else will do it. So taking this personal responsibility. And of course, what are you going to look like to the rest of the world? You're going to look pretty crazy. It's like, what are you doing? Don't you want to come out on this beautiful day and play? You want to sit in front of your computer? Are you kidding? Come on, come out and hang out with us. No, I have something higher that I'm doing. I have an incredible reason for sitting in front of my computer today. So, here we are in this place called the desire realm, right? We want things, people want things of us. We desire, we desire to be spoken to kindly. We desire to have a comfortable life. We desire to have a relationship that is sweet and nourishes us so we can nourish others in the world. We desire food in our bellies. And we're constantly wanting things. And it's a pretty crazy place because it's not only you who have desires, but it's everybody else. And what happens? Conflict arises. So it's this pretty crazy place run by I want, I need, me. We think, if I just got out of this relationship and had another one, I would be happy. Or if I just had a new computer, I would be happy. Or if I moved somewhere else, I would be happy. Problem is, we take our karmic seeds with us. If our karmic seeds shift, then yes, we will be happy. But if we haven't worn out those karmic seeds, we will not be happy. So it's a broken realm. Just forget about it. Are we going to change this realm, samsara? I see a yes and I see a no. Will it still be samsara if it changes? If you see no more war, no more hunger, no more conflict, and everybody happy, will that be samsara?
Will it last?
What's that?
Will it last?
Yeah, it's going to be a Buddha paradise, isn't it? It's not going to be samsara anymore because that's not the definition of samsara. So in your lives, as you begin to use these tools, you'll get little glimpses. You'll still, some moments be in samsara, and some moments you'll be in a Buddha paradise, right? As you practice. And that's how it works. It changes into a Buddha paradise. So forget about it here. Basically here, you're crazy with, we're all crazy with certain mental afflictions. There's 26 main ones and 84,000 other ones, right? And that's how we got here. We got here because we have those mental afflictions. We're trying to do Dharma. We're trying to meditate. We're trying to practice. And if you just move 1 degree out of normal, you're going to look weird to everybody. Right? We do try and hide it most of the time, our weirdness. And be secret practitioners. So if you move 10 degrees out of normal, you're going to look really, really crazy because you've gotten rid of 1% of your mental afflictions. It's like, how come you don't get angry? You should be getting angry at that. Well, because you've gotten rid of that mental affliction. So that shifting 1% is going to make you look super, super crazy, super different, super unusual to the rest of the world. So you have to be willing to make that leap, to appear different. Do we really want to be the same as everybody in this world? Do we want to harbor resentments? Do we want to constantly be trying to get things from others? No, we don't. We want to be able to bring joy into the world and less suffering into the world. So that's going to take willing to do your good deeds on your own. You can ask somebody to help you, but if they don't, you have to be willing and courageous and stubborn to say, all right, I'm going to do it myself, no matter what. If you don't want to help me because you don't know how to help yourself anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it. Okay. If they think it's odd, that's okay. If they attack me, you think about Jesus's life, all right. They don't get it. They don't get it about peace and love. All they know is desire and anger and violence. That's okay. If they crucify me, that's okay. Because I know it's the right thing to do. So that is Laksamanda. Taking on exchanging yourself for others by taking ultimate personal responsibility for the state of your mind and how you project the world. And you know, Master Shanti Deva says, don't be upset if others don't help you. They don't even know how to help themselves. Okay? So why should they be helping you? I think that's one of the hardest things in a relationship with anybody, whether it's an intimate relationship or not, is, you know, you want the other being to help you, or the other beings, you know, to help you just with the mundane things of life, of having enough money to pay your rent and buy your food, down to wiping the dust off of the books. You don't want to do it all by yourself. If you take personal responsibility, you're taking this commitment to do it, whatever it takes to get you enlightened as quickly as possible so that you can help others get enlightened. And that starts with the little things. Okay? Without resentment. I mean, that's one of my big things when I live with other people, is being resentful that they're not helping, right? Come on. How come, you know, you don't do blah, blah, blah? Like, why don't you take the compost out sometimes? Or why don't you clean the refrigerator? Maybe they don't even see that it's dirty. How come you don't see that it's dirty? You know, there's that resentment. Because of our self-cherishing. It's hard to do, right? It's really hard to do. So I like that Master Shantideva says, you know what? At least you have some idea. They don't have any idea. And you can't force them to see it the way you see it. So don't rock your boat. Don't get upset. Because what did we say? When you lose your joy, you get upset. When you get upset, you end up at anger, resentment. So 99% of the people in this realm are striving for things that won't make them happy. And they say it's like honey on a razor blade. What happens if you go to try and lick the honey off of the razor blade? You will most likely cut your tongue, right? I mean, just the thought of it is horrible. You know, honey is this attractive, sweet thing. We're drawn to it. It represents the objects of the senses. The razor is the fact that it will never, ever satisfy us. We will just keep cutting our tongue. So, and doing that ultimately will lead us to doing bad deeds, to get the things that we want. So it's crazy. And we spend our lives running after things that we can't get unless we plant the seeds for them. So we spend our lives running after things and people, and then we lose them. It's like, what did we do with our life? Was that worth it? When you get to my age and you look back, was it worth it? What was the point? That's crazy. So this is what most people are doing. Don't expect them to try and help you on the path that you're on. That doesn't mean not to care about them. It doesn't mean not to love them. Just know that they are on a different path than you are. And Master Shantideva says that's just the way it is here in the desire realm. That's how we all got here. That's how we're all staying here. That's how we're stuck here. They don't even know for 10 minutes how to help themselves. How can they help you do some virtuous activity? Now, there is this thing called skillful means, which as a bodhisattva, we learn how to trick people in a good way into doing virtuous activities. Right? And that in itself is an art. And that way they can get some good seeds. So, I think about, like, I have a little friend, he's 2 years old, trying to teach him to clean up after himself, not always have somebody else to do it. So how do you trick him into doing that? Right? So we're kind of working with 2-year-olds. How do we make it fun? How do we use joyful effort to pull others in to do something fun and virtuous together? So use your hooks. And at the same time, take personal responsibility for doing it yourself. And if you do it without resentment and without any kind of, like, I don't want to do this, I guess that is resentment, and you do it with joy, it's probably going to become contagious. And somebody's going, oh, she's doing that with so much joy and having so much fun. Maybe there's something there I would like to do, right? So and then there's another side to it too, that people see that you're having joy doing something and doing it by yourself, taking this personal responsibility. And people may begin to try and block you, to try to prevent you to be happy, because you're happy and they're not. Right? They're happy and you're not. Or you're happy and they're not. So what do? It's like, well, you just keep on. Who might they be? Are they testing your Laksamnanda? Think about it. We need others to polish ourselves. So be happy, do it joyously. Don't say anything to them. Don't be bitter. Joyfully give your life and understand that you're doing the right thing. So it's a balancing act. Watching our minds closely. I surely couldn't do what this woman is doing. How many pots does she have? 9 pots, 5 on her head and 2 in each arms, and they're just perfectly balanced there. To stop our anger, to stop our dislike, to stop our mental afflictions, we have to watch our mind closely. To be able to watch our mind closely, we need to get enough sleep, we need to eat okay, we need to be able to relax, we need to meditate, we need to get some exercise. We need to be able to focus on one thing at a time, not what we call multitasking. That is what we need to be able to watch our minds closely. So I have this picture of this woman walking with all of these water containers, all of these boompas. There is a classical story that talks about what if you were holding a bowl that was filled to the very, very top with oil, and someone had a sword at your neck, and they said, walk across the floor, and if you spill even 1 drop of oil, your neck will be cut off, your head will be cut off. Would you be able to do it? How closely would you watch yourself? And that's how close we have to watch our minds. If we're being resentful and angry, we are so caught up in that emotion that we're not able to watch our minds. They say anger is like throwing a pebble, just a little pebble, doesn't have to be a rock, into a still body of water, and the ripples go out. And that's what happens to our minds. It's not a calm, peaceful place where we can watch our mind. So Master Shantideva, just to go back, says, Laksam Mamba, taking ultimate responsibility for your state of mind and for others' state of mind, is the highest joyful effort. And then he goes on to, well, now that we're doing things joyfully, we're joyfully doing things, and our mind is calm like that pond with no ripples on it because we're having absolute delight in doing what we're doing. Now you can sit down to meditate. Now there won't be any ripples. So there are 2 types of meditation. There's the meditation you do on your cushion, and there's the meditation you do all day. All day meditation. And of course, that affects your meditation when you sit down on your cushion, how you live the rest of your day. There is a place that we go in our minds called, say, Michok Me. Michok Me. And Geshe-la just taught this quite recently, as I recall. It's a certain meditative state, and it means Michok Me. There's two negatives in here, me not and may not. No, it's not true you don't have time, right? It's not true you don't have time to meditate. So it's an ancient word meaning, so choke is an ancient word meaning having time to do something, right? Me choke means not time. And me choke may means not have time. So he says, since the great majority of living beings have no idea at all what they should even do to help themselves, it's no surprise that they might be unwilling to help us in our deeds meant to aid all other beings. So therefore, we need to be ready at all times to undertake our virtuous activities gladly by ourselves without any help from someone else. And to be able to do that, we need to get into deep states of meditation. So, Michok Me means it's not true that you don't have time to meditate. And there is this preliminary stage within the first concentration level, which is in the form realm, called Samten Dangpo Nerdo Michok Me. Say after me, Samten Dangpo Nerdo Michok Me. So it's a kind of meditation. It's, as I said, it's the first, I've heard it said both ways, the first concentration level, also the preliminary stage within the first concentration level. So I'm not, it seems a little squiggly there, right? And it's not nirvana or Buddha paradise, but it's a place that you get to where your mind is very, very focused and still. And depending on what your meditation object is, it can be helpful or not helpful to be in this meditation stage, this level. So if you did this kind of meditation all the time in this life with no virtuous content, like just following your breath, you're very concentrated, you're very focused, you have what is called Tingensen, you just totally focused and your mind is pliable. But you would say meditating on just your breath and then you die, you would immediately go to the hell realms because you haven't been using it for anything virtuous. And you've been using up your virtue to be in this state, meditating on just your breath. So it's a serious mistake. But, and a big but, if you want to see emptiness directly, this is where you need to be. This is the diving board to going into the direct perception of emptiness. It's not enlightenment, it's not nirvana, but it is the springboard for the direct perception of emptiness. So why this place, which can one can send me onto the path of enlightenment where I know there's no turning back. I see my own enlightenment. I know what I'll be called. All of those things that happen when you come out of the direct perception of emptiness, or waste my time and end up in a hell realm. The Abhidharma talks about why it's such an effective place for getting to a Buddha paradise. And most of us, we're having lousy thoughts of others all day long. We're complaining about this and that. We're criticizing, we're telling others what to do, we're getting irritated, we're getting angry. It takes up a good part of our lives. And if it's not taking up a good part of your life right now, then I salute you. You're on your path, right? You're on your path for getting out. But generally, it bursts out. We start complaining, somebody's not doing this or somebody is doing that. And for every 5 minutes of this speech, right, there also might be some physical action involved. So we have the karma of thought, we have the karma of speech, we have the karma of action, of body, right? And they're not big, they're just small little things. Small little things. Is there joy there? What happened to our joyful effort, right? Oops, I lost it. Let's go back to that. So there's small irritations, there's small desires, and there's thousands and thousands of these small thoughts. Occasionally, not very often probably, they manifest as violent behavior. But when you are sitting in a deep meditation, when you're not thinking about what somebody said to you or did to you or didn't do to you or didn't say to you, and your mind is in this quiet state where you're able to focus it for 20 minutes, for 45 minutes, for 5 or 6 hours a day, what happens? It is this unbelievably refreshing state of mind to be in. It's like there's no more of this inner battle and this inner chatter going on, which we don't even notice most of the time, but it's in the background going on in our minds all the time, right? And so it's very relaxing. And by doing that, staying in that kind of meditation without any bad thoughts can cause you to be born in the form realm. Just by default of not having those bad deeds during those hours that you're in a deep state of meditation. So if you did breathing meditation for 5 or 6 hours a day, say you're in a long retreat, it's fine to use it to, I like to say, put your mind in neutral. When I was growing up, we had cars that you had to put in neutral before you could go into another gear. They weren't automatics. And it's like putting your mind into neutral, using your breath to slow your mind down, to focus it, and then move on from there. But if you just did breath meditation for 5 or 6 hours a day, you would reach this first level of the meditation of the form realm. And then after that, as I said, you would, when you die, you would go to hell. And at the same time, if we use it to think about the nature of things, if we use this meditative state to look more deeply into how our mind creates the world, then it's only from that level that we can see emptiness directly. If we think about how we are projecting images out into the world, how Chichedra, right? How we have archetypes in our minds and use those as labels on things. If we deeply think about these, if we can get to this meditation level and use it to go deeply into the nature of reality, then it will dive into the pool of emptiness, the direct perception of emptiness. And what happens if you see emptiness directly? You see the day of your enlightenment, you see your future lies, you know that you encountered the Dharmakaya of a Buddha, right? The mind of a Buddha, the emptiness. And, you know, the Dharmakaya is made up of the essence body of the Buddhas, the Svabhavakaya, and the wisdom body, the Jnana Dharmakaya, or the Yeshituku, the omniscience. And you see ultimate reality and deceptive reality. You see both realities. And you know that the tankas are pictures of holy beings that somebody saw. There's one hanging behind me of Aryatara. You know what a prostration is. You are so humbled by what you perceived in the direct perception of emptiness that you get down on the ground. You know how small you are and what an incredible gift and blessing you've just had. And you're so humbled by it that you truly understand what a prostration is. You know how long it'll take until you get enlightened. You know that all the books, what they're teaching are correct, and many, many other things. And there's nothing that you would ever trade for this experience. You are a totally changed person. And the only way to get there is by being in this deep state of meditation. So we need to learn how to meditate in this state, not including your preliminaries, not including cleaning your meditation space, none of that, for up to an hour, at least an hour a day, in this deep state of meditation, on a virtuous object, to be able to dive into the direct perception of emptiness. And I'm yakking too much. We need to move on. Oops. What just happened? Let's go back. Okay. So these are the opening lines of the chapter on meditation of the Bodhichara Avatar. David, would you read it for us, please?
Sure. Nyunmon Cheba.
Chebe.
Chebe.
Oh, it's Che Wei, really. Just read the English.
Okay, sorry. The jaws of mental affliction. Once you've developed your practice of effort in the way described above, then place your mind in single pointedness. A person whose mind is in a state of constantly wandering lives his life in the jaws of mental affliction.
So these are the opening lines, and I'll read the Tibetan for you. Nyomo, which is mental afflictions. Che Wei, Trapne Ne. And I'm not going to tell you what each of those words means because we don't have time today. But Arya Nagarjuna, who I love as well, he really makes me think about how I'm perceiving the world. He says meditation is a 24-hour thing. If we allow ourselves to be distracted for 23 hours a day when we're not sitting on our cushion, what's going to happen when we sit on our cushion? We're going to be distracted. Our mind's going to be going here and there and everywhere. So we can't abuse our minds for 23 hours a day. We have to be kind to our mind all day long. And then when we get ready to meditate, we can. So how do we do that? How do we keep our minds in, say, half samadhi all day? There are 5 principles that Arya Nagarjuna gives us. So in the opening the line, it says, basically, whosoever cannot keep their mind in this single pointedness, in samadhi all day, has their head in the mouth of a monster with big fangs. They are about ready to get crushed. You know that Tonka, or the painting of the Wheel of Life, with the big demon and his fangs? That's where our head is in their mouth. So we're in the jaws of mental affliction. So have that vision of your head, say, in the mouth of a lion. If we don't keep our basic single pointedness, our basic samadhi, at least, 50% samadhi, half samadhi, 24 hours a day. Why? Because we're vulnerable to kleshas. We're vulnerable to mental affliction attacks if we're not watching our minds. You're doing it in the background, just like when you're meditating. You're watching, oh, is my mind distracted? Am I thinking about breakfast? Oops, let's come back. We have this little watcher paying attention all day. So again, what will help you to stay there? Get enough sleep. Eat well. Exercise well. Meditate. You don't have a low immune system because you will have mental affliction attacks. So it has to be an all-day thing. So the 5 ways, the tricks to do this, are in a text called A Letter to a Friend, Surleka. And the first one, say gugyu. Gugyu. Gu means restless desire. And gyu is short for gyupa, meaning regret. So if you have restless desire, I want this, I want that, da, 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 or you're missing a person or thing, having regret, then this will create ripples. So he lumps these 2 together. In meditation, it's thinking about what you're going to do later today. You go into retreat and you come out with all of these wonderful ideas because your mind is clear for the first time in years or months, right? And that is this good, this restlessness, this gupa. That is focusing on a desire object. Okay, I got this great idea. What do I have to do? When do I do it? How do I do it? Who do I need to call? All of this excitement. And when you're in that mode, you can be very focused, but in general, 99% of the time, it manifests as not being focused, as having attention deficit. We only stay, think about all the time you spend scrolling. How much of it, how long does it take you to read a post? It's a matter of seconds. Do we sit down and read a book? Do we sit down and read an article? Do we sit down and do anything for any length of time without being distracted anymore? It's a sickness in our world. The internet and the phone have created this incredible sickness in our world. So surfing through the world for the next thing. Right? Always wanting the next new thing. Because why? Well, it's new, it's exciting, it's not boring. How to change your life so that you're not addicted to looking for, desiring that next thing. So that's the first half. The second half, this gyupa, it normally means regret for having done something, but here it's referring to missing a person or a thing. Oh, I wish so-and-so were here. Or, oh, I wish I had this. You're thinking about the good old days. Oh, I wish it was 10 years ago when I felt stronger and more vital, or I wish that whatever it is. And we're not in the present. And it gets worse as you get older, because you have more things to remember from the past. I have a friend who is 90, and she's always talking about, oh, things are not as good as they used to be, always. And living in the past rather than, okay, this is the way it is now, let's just work with it. Right? So your mind, like her mind, can end up living in the past with this inability to be in the present. So be in the present. Be present with whoever you're with at that moment. Be present with whatever work you're doing at that moment. Be focused. Be a good listener. Be a good mirror. Watch your mind. So when I was growing up, there was a book called Be Here Now. And that's what we're talking about. Be in the present moment. Don't be thinking about what happened this morning or yesterday or 5 years ago. Don't be thinking about, oh, what's gonna happen? What do I have to prepare myself for? Just be in the present and you will be okay. Nusam, malice or anger. Sem means mind or thought. Right? Nu means to harm it. Harmful thoughts. So this is like the other pole from Rupa. 90% of the day is spent in being distracted and desire and thinking about the past. And the other 10% is being irritated at someone or something. And this, by this way, I didn't tell you that, but the book Sorleka is by Lama Tsongkhapa. And so he's commenting on Arya Nagarjuna's 5 points. And In the Bodhisattva vows, if you took the Bodhisattva vows, you know these. You committed to not doing them, right? And so Jason Kappa wrote his commentary. He did that in the Bodhisattva course. And he was adamant, you Bodhisattvas, you agreed not to do this. So avoid them. The third one, dullness and what we sometimes say agitation, dullness and extreme. Mukha means like cloudiness, mind fog. We have a word for it now. When we eat too much, our minds go to our bellies. When we don't get enough sleep, our minds are foggy. Sometimes we have physical things that happen in our bodies that cause us to be sleepy or foggy minded. And if you do a long retreat, if you do even a 3-day retreat, don't try meditating after lunch or the middle of the day. It's probably your worst time to meditate. Your tummy's full. It's, you've been up, you've been working hard. Just relax, do something else that is virtuous during that time of day, or take a nap, right? So if you get sleepy, take a nap. Also make sure you're getting enough sleep at night. It's not only important to your state of mind so that you don't have mental affliction attacks. Your body needs it to heal. Your body needs it for all of its activities. It needs you to be at rest. So not only can you not meditate, but your body will begin to have immune problems if you don't rest. So get the amount of sleep that you need. Maybe it's only 4 hours a night. Maybe it's 6. Maybe for some it's 8 or 9. Listen to your body. Let it get enough sleep so it can heal, so your mind can be sharp and clear. Eat properly. Regulate what you eat and how much you eat. Do your yoga or your Tai Chi or running or whatever your physical movement is that gets the blood moving, that gets the inner channels flexible. It helps your mind to be flexible with other people. We have this body. We do have to take care of it. It is our vehicle. Maybe it would be easier without having to take care of it, but it's what we've got. And it has everything that you need to become enlightened in this life. So take care of it. You're not going to have this body when you become an enlightened being. You're not going to take this impure thing with you, but you need it until you get there. Number 4, objects of desire. Here, really, it means objects of the senses, whether it's food, the internet, music, objects of the 5 senses, nice clothes, all of those things. We take in most of the information in our lives through our eyes. So if we are constantly looking around all the time, we're getting all of this sensory input through our eyes, right? We get overloaded. When you go into a grocery store in America, I don't know if it's true other places, but you've got all this stuff you're looking at, you've got people talking, and you've got music playing. It's like you're getting bombarded, and you probably don't even notice it most of the time. But if you've been away from it for a while and you go in, it's like this assault on your senses. And it's very hard to focus because you can't block it out. We've been trained to block it out. It doesn't mean that you can't have music. It doesn't mean that you can't have delicious things. It just means be reasonable about it. Be reasonable. The same with sex. Sex, there's an incredible amount of energy in sex. There's an incredible amount of connection in sex with somebody else, or there can be, right? There's an expression of love, but don't do it so much that it's all you're thinking about all the time. And then number 5, lazy doubt. Healthy doubt is important. It's very important. Critically thinking about something, using your logic, super important. Not just accepting what I'm saying, thinking about it. Does it make sense? Lord Buddha said, attack everything I say. Don't accept it just because I say it. Take it apart. And if you're not satisfied, don't follow it. Don't accept it. So we're not referring to that kind of doubt. We're referring to being lazy about thinking about it, of just accepting it because someone else said it, or we read it somewhere. It's said in the scripture that your Lama is a Buddha. Well, are they? Are they because the scripture said it? You have to think about it. Are they? Go through the logic. Or could they be? Maybe I don't think they totally are, but is it possible they might be? Right? Don't do what we say, sit on the fence. When you're sitting on the top of the fence, you're kind of in between. You're neither on this side nor that side. So get off the fence. When they're being nice to you, you think, oh, they're the Buddha. When they're being a little, maybe they're correcting you or something, you're like, oh, maybe they're not the Buddha. I don't want to hear that, right? We decide depending on, what we want to hear. So it's the same with meditation. Decide you're going to work up to an hour of deep meditation. Start with 5 minutes and then add a minute every week. If you don't decide that meditating every day for an hour is the most important thing that you can do in your life, you will not get out of this suffering life, at least in this life. You have to make that decision. I have to make that decision. I have fallen off the meditation cushion and I am getting back on. I'm up to like 25 minutes now of meditating. It happens. There are periods in your life where you just aren't meditating. And then you reset your motivation. Yes, this is the most important thing. I don't want to continue seeing people suffer anymore. And if you do your meditation in the morning, or when you do your meditation in the morning, it will also help you in everything that you do during the day. It will help you have 24-hour samadhi. It will help you do your job better, whatever your job is. It could just be taking care of a child, or it could be working in some corporation and everything in between. It helps us to be in a constant state of samadhi. We're watching our food intake. We're watching our music intake. We're watching our sleep, making sure we have enough of it. We are watching whether we are distracted, thinking about this and that and everything else and sex and what I'm going to watch tonight on Netflix. We watch whether we're in the present or not, or if our minds are in the past. So cut down on your sensory intake. Don't have lazy diet. And watch your mind 24 hours a day. And how joyful could that end up being? Okay. Maybe at first you'd be kind of depressed at what's going on in your mind. And if that happens, think about, oh, I'm just seeing my mind for the first time. Yay! Now I can work with it. Now I can do something with it. So Master Shantideva then goes into talking about the joys of living in forest solitude. That's kind of like the mind being in samadhi. It's a metaphor for that. He urges us to spend our time in that place, in the woods. And we all know that going out in nature, taking walks in nature, and allowing our minds to think about helping others through and developing this wish for enlightenment can help us. We can do it. And so take time to go out in nature. It will help your samadhi on your cushion and off your cushion. So he recommends first meditating upon the wish. So in the chapter on meditation, in Contemplation 5, he says, when you lie in the forest, neither the wild animals, nor birds, nor trees ever say something unpleasant. May there come a day when I may stay living together with these new friends, so very easy to live with. And then he makes this little jog in Contemplation 10. And he describes the joys of living in this forest solitude and urges us to spend time there. So what are we going to meditate about? What sorts of thoughts should we keep in our mind? Are we going to keep in our mind? Well, he uses this to then launch into what we started with joyful effort, which is Dakshin Namje, a very, very powerful teaching. So Dakshin Namje, Dakshin, Nyam, and Dakshin, J. It's a combination of these two things. Dakshin Nyampa means treating others and yourself exactly the same. Dakshin Jewa means exchanging self for others. Dak, we had this word yesterday, self, me, right? Shen, other. J, to exchange, or Jwa, Jway, exchanging self for others. So there's a practical way to do this, and it comes from Master Shantideva's teachings in 3 steps. And the karma from following these 3 steps is about half a day. We would say it's instantaneous spiritual food. It's easy, cheap, it makes you happy for the rest of your life. So what are these 3? So together they're called Dakshin Namche. And the first method is the Jampa method. And here we have a picture which just got shared with me yesterday because we were talking about the Jampa method of Natasha in New Jersey in the kitchen with Jampa. I just had the picture of the coffee and the cookies. And you'll see in this picture, there's the cookie jar, always on the table. I haven't been there for, 20 years, and the cookie jar is still on the table. So what's the Jampa method? Jampa Lundrik, who is here, his practice is when you walk in the door, which is kind of right behind Natasha, the front door, you walk into the kitchen, a really welcoming place, right? It's where everybody gets together to eat and talk. I mean, kitchens are usually the most important room in a house, the most nourishing place in a house. And because your eyes are the mirror of your soul, or who you are, or what you desire, Jampa watches where your eyes go. Do they go over to the stove? Do they look at the teacups? Do they look at the fridge? Are they looking around for the bathroom? Are they looking at the cookie jar? So observing others' likes and dislikes without them even knowing it. That's the first step, silently. And then, okay, what are they looking at? That's what they must want, right? What kind of food do they like? What kind of clothes do they like? What would they like to hear right now? So that's the first method of exchanging self for others. What would they like? And as you can see, Natasha looks like she had both tea and a cookie and a place to charge her phone. They're taking care of her. The second method is to put your mind in their body and watch you. Is there still a distinction between you and them? Yeah, there is. You put your mind in their body and you look back at yourself. So, and you ask, what do you want from you? It gets very confusing, especially when you're using these pronouns. You are now them, and you are looking at you, and you're trying to figure out what you want. This is a really good all-day practice. Put that person in your meditation in the morning, and the distinction will get fuzzier. So there's the side of looking at looking at you and what do you want? There's also another side of it, which is, how are you perceiving you? Do you like what you're hearing? Do you like what you're seeing? How are you perceiving you? And then there's the rope thing. This is the one that for me was what I gravitated towards. Wrapping the rope around somebody else. Now you and me is one person. Now when I buy shoes, I have to buy 2 pairs of shoes. Now when I buy ice cream, I buy 2 ice creams. There's no me and you. We're both in this together, and there is no both anymore. You're just serving you, which is now 2 people. We're one body. So we break down this distinction between me and you. People object to Master Shanti Devi saying this. You know, he says, but wait a minute. I can barely take care of myself. I'm going to run out of money if I take care of 2 people. And he says to that, you know, the human mind is unbelievable. It can do anything. The projection of me is artificial. It's as artificial as everything else. And it's just this decision that we make in our mind. We talked about it yesterday, right? When you have a baby, you don't hesitate. You just do it. And you just got bigger. Now it's you is me and the baby. So how do I do that? How do I do the Jamba method? How do I put my mind in their body and look at me? How do I do the rope thing? It doesn't mean, exchanging self and others doesn't mean to pretend to be the other person. What you have to exchange is exchanging the new way of how you think of yourself. Who you should be taking care of. With who you used to take care of. That's what exchanging self is about. Who gets priority? Not the people. Not pretending to be the other person. It's not like you ignored others in the past and it was secondary. No, flip it. What you want to exchange is who you take care of first. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't get enough sleep. That doesn't mean that you don't eat well. That doesn't mean that you don't exercise. Can you even embrace somebody else as you if those basic needs are not taken care of? But not at the expense of somebody else. So do put yourself in their shoes and then look back at yourself and see how good or bad it feels. And do it on 3 levels. Those who are higher than you, those are equal to you, and then those who are under you. Practice these things. And you'll get better and better at it until you become an enlightened being and you take care of every being as you. But again, wait a minute. I can't do that. remember what Master Shanti Davis says, and we'll get to it soon. Start with carrots and potatoes. We think we are limited. We can always do more. And I'm talking to myself as well. It's just these countless lifetimes of habit, of thinking in a certain way. So there's this metaphor of different parts of the body, such as our hands and our legs. Even though they are different parts, we still conceive them as ourselves. Christina, would you read this, please?
Yes, I love to. There are many separate parts, the hands and all the rest, but we dearly care for them all as a single body. Just so shall I work for the happiness of every different being, treating all as equal, all as one, thinking of their joy and pain as if it were my own.
So think about that. When you stub your toe, it's your toe. But it's not you. It's a part of your body. And we still conceive of them, all these pieces, my hands, my arm, my toe, as belonging to one being, to one person, to me, and something that we should take care of. And just Master Shanti Davis saying, just so, we should work to assure the happiness of every other being and remove their sufferings, since we can learn to think of them as me. You know, we here in the desire realm got stuck in thinking me ends here, right? Arya Nagarjuna would say, okay, you ends there. Where's that end? Where is your beginning? Can you ever find it? It is just our past karma, a habitual way of thinking that causes us to think like this. It's created me and you instead of us. Our language is divisive. There's a me and you, there's us and them, there's, like and dislike, and my country and your country. We've created this divisive world. It's in our language. And our language is a reflection of how we think about our world, and it also enforces how we think about our world. You don't have those words in a Buddha paradise. There is no me and you or me and them. It's a really primitive idea, and it hurts us. It is the cause of all of our suffering. We find our pain unbearable. And that is simply a result of the habit of conceptualizing ourselves as we do. And Master Shanti Davis says, even though others' pains don't touch us directly, we can learn to feel that the pains of all beings are as unbearable as our own if we conceptualize them as ourselves. How do we do it? We begin small. see. Alexandra Zayanchoskia, did I say that properly? Can you read the English for us?
Что почитать? Мгм. Carrot and potatoes.
Can you read this? The guide
The guide has sent us at the beginning to do our acts of giving these
Nice.
vegetables and the like. When we become accustomed to that, then later on will gradually be able to give away even our flesh.
Thank you. Beautiful. So, we start with what we can share. Sometimes we're able to share something and sometimes not. Sometimes you go, oh, but if it were my bed, I wouldn't share that with somebody, right? But if it were my dessert, sure, they can have that. I'm happy to share that with them. So we start with something that we're not so attached to. We start small and we say, there's no distinction between me and you. And then we decide that the distinction between me and others is a mistake that's been forced on us by our past karma. We realize that is what is causing our suffering. This attachment to me and taking care of me. And the karma of doing this produces something as big as a Buddha paradise. We can't keep this idea that this is me, this small little body, and get to a Buddha paradise. We have to actively break down those barriers, the distinction between me and you. And that makes it a whole lot easier to be a bodhisattva. So think about it. How do we create karma? We create it in relationship to others. We see beings as others. We create both negative and positive seeds in relation to others, me and you. We need this other to create virtue, to clean up our negative seeds. Giving, you got to have somebody to give to, right? Being nice to others, being nice, patience, right? You need others. Joyful effort. You need others to work for, to have fun with. You need others for doing things with. Meditation. It seems that the harder you try, the more others come to interrupt you. And you can't develop concentration, right? There's too many garbage trucks going down the road. There's too much this, there's too much that, all in relationship to others. And wisdom, we have to understand the emptiness of people. There is nobody who is not coming from you. And so we begin to break down this idea that there is a me and a you. So these are some of the verses that Master Shanti, from Master Shanti Deva's meditation chapter. And let's see, who is not translating? Natasha, would you read this one, please?
Of course, pleasure. Contemplation 12. What makes pain mine? Suppose you object and say that your pain never hurts the body of another. Even so, your pain is something you can't bear for just one reason. You're grasping to yourself. Just so, even though it's true that sufferings others feel never come and strike you, still it is your suffering, since you will find them hard to bear once you grasp to yourself.
Thank you. So your dislike of one particular pain as being unbearable, it comes from our karmic seeds, just like anything else. You know, we can't actually, we're not omniscient yet. We can't actually see another's physical pain. But your willingness to tolerate others' suffering, it's fluid. It's a fluid attitude. And you can decide to learn to care for others when they are experiencing misfortune. You know, we see on the newspapers these headlines of, oh, so-and-so did this and so did that. And it's almost like reveling, rejoicing in others' misfortune, rather than caring about their misfortune. So we can act on their behalf because we see them as being an extension of ourselves. And then, so rather than rejoicing in somebody's misfortune, we can have empathy. It's like, that's really sad that they had to experience that. And then we have a connection. And there it begins to break down this separation. As long as we keep it at a distance, there will be a separation and there will be a me and them. So Master Shantideva then goes on to show how wrong it is to work only for our own happiness. And why is that? Because we all are the same. We all want to be happy. Nobody wants to suffer. So if we're all the same, why should we work only for our own happiness and avoid our own personal suffering? He says, I and others are exactly the same in that we both want happiness and don't want pain. And he gives two reasons why it's wrong to work only for our own happiness. Eventually, we will not even think of working of others as something exceptional. You know, it's just because we've gotten used to it. It's just that we think me is my body. And think about the suffering that will even cause when you die, when you lose your body, right? But we actually have no self. We are empty of any self-existence. We are our karma. So why do you say then you can never learn to think of others as me if you got used to it? Master Shantideva asks us. Evgenia? Are you there? No. Okay. People have their cameras turned off, which is hard to know who is here and who I can call on. And I can't read Russian, so Rinchen, would you read, please?
Thank you. When we come to others as ourselves, then we find it amazing or find any reason for conceit. But care for
Your
them,
break,
a person doesn't
Rinchen,
congratulate himself for feeding himself his own super.
okay. Rinchen, you were breaking up, so I'm going to ask somebody else to read it. Anna, would you read it?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes, I can. Thank you. When we come to see others as ourselves, then we won't find it amazing or find any reasons for conceit. When we care of them, a person does not congratulate himself for feeding himself his own
Supper.
supper.
Yeah, your own supper. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
That's, and thank you, Rinchen, as well. Your connection was a little choppy. You kept breaking up. So this is Master Shantideva's advice to us. When we come to see others as ourselves, we won't think it's any more amazing than making dinner for ourselves. It will just be something natural. There's nothing that we have to get proud about, or, it's like, oh, I did that, right? This false pride. It's just as simple as making your lunch. It becomes something that you do all the time. We can be proud that we got to that point. There's nothing wrong with that. But to think that you're better than somebody because of it is a destructive pride. Andre, would you read for us?
If you could, then you would never feel that it was stranger, no conceited. When you work it for others, you don't expect congratulations from yourself. Whenever you eat, you dinner for yourself.
Would you continue?
For that reason, you must get used to a state of mind where you protect all beings, and to throw of compassions as well, protective them just the same way that you protect yourself ever from.
Thank you. Thank you. So he continues with his advice of how to think about what we're doing. Don't expect congratulations. Don't feel conceited. We don't do that when we eat our dinner, when we make dinner. So get used to this state of mind where you are protecting everybody. And get used to thoughts of compassion as well, protecting them the same way that you would yourself. This is a bodhisattva's way of life. Jitin dewa jinye pa, dekun shende du lejun. Jitin dunya jinne pa, dekun rangde du lejun. The total amount of happiness that exists in the world has come from wanting to make others happy. The total amount of suffering that exists in the world has come from wanting to make yourself happy. What need is there for many words? The children of the world work for their own sake. The able Buddhas do their labor for the sake of others. Come and see the difference. We all want the same thing. None of us wants pain and suffering. We all want to be happy. So come and join the Buddhists who work for the benefit of every living being and see how your life will change. Will you be the next to take personal responsibility? Will you be the next to bring Dharma to others, to bring these teachings to others? Are you willing to go to work all day to make money, to rent a place, to pay for everything for others? Excuse me. At some point in your life, you will become a teacher if you're not already. And if you're in that position to teach others, it is your honor to support the Dharma until others catch up to you. Laksan Namdak. So, okay, I have to go to work today so I can buy a new computer and a new screen so I can teach on Zoom better. That's okay. I will do that. That is Laksan Namdak. I will study and make sure I know what the heck I'm talking about. And I will practice it so I also can share that. That is Laksan Namdak. So you do this and you'll get complaints. Oh, I couldn't see this and I couldn't do that and this and that. And what did you say? And I didn't get reading 6. Oh, I didn't get the link for this. I didn't. You will get plenty of complaints and no one will thank you, or very rarely. They will just come and complain. And we just learned that's what humans have been programmed for. We've programmed ourselves to do that for centuries, for lifetimes. Don't get upset. Kindly give them what they need. That is Laksan Namdak. It's like, okay, I don't care. If you do it, if you just do it sweetly, secretly, quietly, I am willing to do anything that I think is right, that will support happiness in this world, even if nobody else helps me. You're trying to do something for somebody, and they aren't interested. But you just do it. Why? Because you know you have to do it. So you can't stop. You are the next generation. Don't let it stop here with me. Study it, meditate on it, use it in your life, and pass it on. You know, it might mean, you know, you're part of this chain of the lineage now. It might mean, like some of you who are on this call are now helping ACIP or ACI or YSI or Diamond Mountain. At some point, it has to come into your mind that this is precious and I cannot keep it for myself. What do I have to do to pass it on? At some point in your mind, you have to make that decision. And that means I don't care if no one helps me. No one helps me to pay for it. No one helps me to clean up afterwards. No one helps me to make the links, to make the videos, whatever it happens to be. And they just come and complain to me. That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna do it myself. It's now my responsibility. So will you be the next to take personal responsibility? That is your meditation homework for today. And we have just finished our review of ACI 11. And next week, we will do ACI 12. Since we have a few minutes here, are there any questions? Natasha, you have a question.
Yes, thank you for opportunity. I have a question. In the last class yesterday, it said that we will get to the enlightenment and we have to collect the good virtue. And my question is, how much of good virtue? How is it possible to measure this? Am I close? Am I far? So what is this point that I know that I collected the good virtue? Thank
The
you.
point is, as you will know you're closer as your life gets sweeter. As you begin to see things around you change, you know that you're beginning to collect more good karma than negative karma. And we can use the struggles in our life to clean us. You know, it's like a sculptor taking a block of marble and slowly, slowly chipping away until there's this beautiful sculpture of Aphrodite or something. We are like that. That's what our good seeds are doing. They're planting, they're helping us to purify ourselves and therefore our world around us. And along the way, there's going to be bumps because we still have things to purify. As there are less and less bumps, we know that we're getting closer and closer. And then when those bumps do happen, we can welcome them in. It's like, oh, here's one more thing I need to clean up. Yay, thank you so much. Right? They're there to show us those bumps. It's like, oh yeah, my karma created this one, and now I've got, you know, to work with it. Don't get upset at it. just do what you need to do. And it's like, that one's done. Yay, finally finished with that one. I don't have to experience that one. And move on. And then things will be sweet for a while, and then there'll be another bump. Right? Don't let it take your joy away. Remember that it's there to help you on your path. It's like, and it's hard to remember that because we don't have a habit for it. It's like, oh God, here comes another one, right? They feel like, arrows coming at you. But what happened to Lord Buddha when the arrows came? He caught them. And they also turned to flowers. We too can turn our arrows into flowers. They are things coming to help us to perfect ourselves. Thank you. It's an important question. Now, can we quantify it and say you have to have 1 billion positive karmas? No, we can't do that. It's proof is in your experience of your world. Any more? Any others? I want to see gallery view here. All right, let's take a moment then to close our eyes. Think about what we talked about today. We talked about Laksamnanda, taking personal responsibility. We talked about exchanging self for others and different ways that we can do that. And recall that this is all coming from a book called A Bodhisattva's Way of Life, teaching us how to become a bodhisattva, how to get to enlightenment, how to be able to get into a deep state of meditation where we can go into the deep practice of the perfection of wisdom, the direct perception of emptiness. And dedicate all that we have talked about and thought about, and that you're going to continue to contemplate on, I'm sure, to reaching that meditative state and going into the direct perception of emptiness, which will change you forever and catapult, it's like force you to become an enlightened being, to serve every being in the universe. See yourself standing on some other planet out in the universe. Looking down at all the other planets and beings in the world. Zooming in and knowing, seeing them all. And knowing you will take care of them. knowing that each one will need something different. And you are learning how to provide that for each of those beings. Come back to your breath. 3 long exhales. Make a decision to become that being. Open your eyes when you're ready. Alrighty then. Thank you for coming. Thank you for believing in this stuff. Please practice it. And I'll see you next weekend, or maybe on Wednesday, for Medicine Buddha catch-up course.
Thank you
If
so
not-
much.
You're welcome. If not, I will see you next weekend, and have a good week. And remember, when things get rough, that you have a toolbox and you can pull things out to use. That's what it's there for. Righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear teacher.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Be the light. Keep on
Спасибо
shining.
большое.
Keep on shining.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Спасибо большое.